How long has it been since you last ate a persimmon? Did you ever feel depressed when you were a child? Why do persimmons need to be eaten at such a specific time? Why do humans go through the trouble of growing such complicated fruits? I only found out later. In fact, many of the foods we take for granted around us. In the past, this was completely unheard of. For example, some fruits originated in the Americas. Some fruits are grown in tropical regions. Many were domesticated very late. In fact, people in ancient times did not have access to many kinds of fruit. And persimmons. It just so happens to be the original deity of a local fruit. You see, his name is Shirshir, which is a single character. But a virtuous tomato can only be called a tomato. Here is a question for everyone. What do you think a persimmon should be like? The answer is yes. There are 4 persimmons. You may be hearing about this for the first time. Indeed, it is a very small particle. There are only over 700 varieties of seeds and kernels. Similar to grape seeds. The most famous thing is worldliness. According to conventional theories of species, both can be called persimmons. There are approximately 700 species in the secular world. It basically covers the entire city's science and technology sector. China alone has as many as 58 to 64 varieties. Yunnan has 26 species. Hainan has 17 kinds. Overall, southwest my country, southeast Taiwan, Hainan and other regions have 93 of China's persimmon varieties. For mice like living in the area, all's region with minimum temperatures above 0 degrees Celsius. We can see that its leaves are particularly thick. It does indeed have a bit of a yarlunged songpaw plant feel to it. And what about the neighbors? In many places, I did not distribute the items privately. But there are a few exceptions. For example, the most classic persimmon Zhu won in our hearts. Its official name is persimmon. His Latin name is Daris varus. He happens to be able to withstand low temperatures, although not as extreme as apple pear. But being adjacent to the Heilongjiang River is still not a problem. Structurally speaking, the root system of persimmon has a relatively low osmotic pressure. Not as good as apples and pears. Drought-resistant, but persimmons have a strong root system division ability. Fine roots, many hairs long. This precisely makes up for this deficiency. This subtropical tree led to the worldly. But then a type of creature appeared that was not afraid of the cold, and not afraid of heat. Also drought-resistant and nutrient-poor species. Give him a sunny, long stretch of land. Even the corner of the wall in Sanpo. It can thrive without any care. Tang Dynasty broken cities. Among the beef, mutton, offal, and pork dishes, there are 7 unique elements. 1 thin and 2 lean. No bird nests on the mountain, no insects blocking the way, 5 double leaves for playing 617. Large fallen leaves. This shows how vigorous the persimmon's vitality is. The claim that a belly is free of worms is somewhat absolute. But I've never seen a bird's nest on a persimmon. Its large leaves are also highly ornamental. The autumn breeze helps one's career flourish, rising like a rosy sunset. This is precisely the red leaf layer hoof. No steel westward scattering. Freeze-dried 1,000-kernel honey. Wear a phosphorus powder. Most importantly, persimmons have a high yield. Wild data not found. But take this common cultivated variety. For secondary TS. 1 irrigation trough has a diameter of 27 meters by 29 meters. Persimmon tree with a trunk only 7 centimeters long. 1 tree can produce 40,000 persimmons. The yield per mu reached 2,200 kilograms. That is about 4,000 gene. More than 4 times the yield of wheat. Moreover, persimmons are very sweet. Sugar content between 12 and 17. 1 bite, and it's like catching honey. For example, ancient times. Even today, few fruits are particularly sweet. The Ebenaceae site dates back 7,000 years. They found a lot of water chestnuts, rice lion plant remains, whether in the south or the north. People in ancient times began planting persimmon trees. For example, Maogang in Lingnan, Guangdong. Jingmen, Hubei Province, in the Yangtze River Basin.
Xinjiang, Henan.
All of them originated from the Warring States period of the motherland. Our old friend Sima Xiangru. In his neighbor's house, records of the fittest. During drought, Sichuan scholars reasons. The records of Hong's wheat contract are found in its installments. Visible. Persimmons have been domesticated to a very large size. But such a big persimmon. However, it's not very convenient to eat, because persimmons are very astringent. So where does the color come from? Just like what we discussed in the previous tutoring sessions. From denim, also called succinic acid. The tannins in persimmons are called persimmon tannins, mainly composed of the tea tree, the plum index finger, and the tea tree table. Tea tree plum purpurate. The tea tree plum esters and plum pebbles. Composed of 4 structural units. Tannins can bind to proteins. Formation of a precipitate that is insoluble in water. In our saliva, it contains a large amount of protein. And our oral mucosa. It is also made of protein. So when our mouths touch a persimmon, it will produce a sense of convergence. My lips feel dry and hard. Therefore, astringency is not actually a taste. It's a feeling. When persimmons are mixed with bovine blood type protein gel, when they mix together in the gastric juice environment, it is very easy for sediment to form. Formation of gastric stones. Therefore, persimmons must be decolorized before use. How to decolorize? We all know that ripe persimmons are not astringent. So they put persimmons and apples, pears put together. They release ethylene to promote fruit pulp respiration. Acetaldehyde reacts with tannins to cause decolorization. What about in ancient times? There is no modern anomaly apple. As for pear trees, their growth is not particularly advanced in Yushu. In ancient times, how can you guarantee you have a proudly ripe pear in your hand? But there are other methods too. In the Shijing of the Northern Wei dynasty, it is recorded that it was soaked in wood ash. Methods for removing color after system crash. This wood ash can also be replaced with lime water. The downside is that it affects the color and taste. Besides, it also needs to be soaked in 40-degree warm water for 16 to 18 hours. But maintaining the water temperature is a troublesome thing. Not suitable for large-scale processing. Spray alcohol on the surface of the limbs. Alcohol is produced by the action of alcohol dehydrogenase. Acetaldehyde then decolorizes. This method gives the fruit a special aroma. The downside is that it takes too long. It takes 9 days to complete the decolorization process. You can also put the 4 fruits into a sealed space. High concentration of carbon dioxide or nitrogen gas. Force the fruit pulp to undergo anaerobic respiration, inducing the pulp to produce acetaldehyde for decolorization. This is a practice suitable for large-scale industrialization. After thousands of years of natural changes and human selection, there are already more than 1,000 varieties of Chinese envoys alone. As early as the Song dynasty, Menglianglu fruit products. It is recorded that there was a square ding, a type of ancient Chinese bronze vessel in Hangzhou at that time. Miao Xian Hong's tragic history and milkwater trend. Fire pigs do not appear on the market and other varieties. What about this cow heart? This refers to the current state of affairs. Its shape is relatively long. It looks like a cow's heart. The romance of this dynasty also records that the worldly traveler was unparalleled. A new life born underground. This peerless one is the last faction. When I was a child, I watched a little-known TV series called Happy Princess. I noticed that the persimmons in the main dish look like mini hamburgers. I seriously suspect I ate fake persimmons. Actually, what they're eating is called millstone persimmon. It gets its name from the fact that its middle section is shaped like a millstone. The main production areas are Beijing and Hebei. Many scenes from the TV series Princess Pearl were filmed in this area. Besides these, there are also Shaanxi's fire crystal persimmons, Gongcheng Jade Industry City, Guangxi, Jingnian City, Shandong, Xinjiang Water Market in Henan Province, etc. So many varieties of persimmons. Is there any product that doesn't require bleaching? You can eat persimmons once they turn yellow.
There is a view that says,
If persimmons are suitable, then he is sweet. If a certain type of persimmon is not suitable, it tastes rather astringent to him. Are these kinds of views correct or not? The astringency of persimmons. However, this is an important research point for many scholars. Scientists have classified persimmons into 4 types. One type of persimmon, regardless of whether it has seeds or not. He becomes sweet when he matures,
called a complete sweet.
These types of persimmons, when they are very small, the tannin cells in the pulp will stop growing. The freshness effect is created after the fruit has grown, so it naturally becomes sweet. Second type of persimmons. If there are enough seeds in the persimmon, the color can be naturally removed on the tree.
The reason is their seeds.
It will release acetaldehyde and ethanol to solidify tannins. And these solidified tannins, this will cause a large number of brown areas to appear in the pulp. We call this type of persimmon not entirely. The third type of persimmon cannot naturally bleach on the tree. Brown spots will only appear near the seeds, called unsafe color. Category 4, regardless of whether it has a nucleus or not. The pulp cannot be projected naturally. Generally, the absence of brown spots is called smoothness. Unfortunately, the vast majority of persimmon varieties in China, both are astringent. Meanwhile, neighboring Japan, the development of persimmons is quite profound. They have some dessert varieties. It is a very common cultivated variety in China.
But
lions have been cultivated in China for thousands of years, and an extremely wide cultivation area. This has led to many counties having their own persimmon varieties. There is a complete Tian clan in Luotian County, Hubei Province. Mr. Luo Tian. There's also Ma Er from Makin County. Ma Lu and others are all from the Tian family. But what about the domestically produced Tians? Was it after the 1980s? It was only gradually promoted that, for people in ancient times, persimmons who want to enjoy desserts freely. It's not an easy thing. After all, overripe persimmons will rot very quickly. When persimmons ripen, the persimmons were being delivered back and forth between each household. We can't finish it.
preserve the persimmons.
There is a very ancient method that has been passed down to this day. Its wondrous techniques are recorded in 4 pieces. It is dried by fire. This product is dried persimmon. Peel the persimmons and dry them in the sun or by baking. If you coat it with glucose, it will be sucked out. Forms a sweet white frost. It's not an additive. High persimmon yield. If you can't finish them, you can make dried persimmons. Now it'll pick some persimmon seedlings. Wouldn't that mean there would be an endless supply of food? Although the current area has an extremely long lifespan, persimmon extract is still widely available. As a result, he was still in his prime even at 100 years old. But the persimmon tree. It will take about 57 years for the fruit to ripen. This has taken far too long. If you want to not wait that long, the simplest way is grafting. Grafting old branches onto new, mundane life. Besides the number of graftings of this species, it can also be used to graft some 7 yuan species. In the north, the divination sticks are commonly used. It is one of the few secular things that can also grow in the north. In fact, he is the embodiment of the secular model. It's the real facade. His Latin name is Daros Peros Rudis. The first one is the signature. Lutz in the back. It is both a sports car brand. It also means lotus. It's not that he has any relationship with Lotus, but it was him. It might be the lotus tree described in the Odyssey. The people of the valley also called him the one who hanged himself, as if he were the fruit of death. The fruit of the worship's fruit tree is very interesting. It looks like a persimmon, but it's very small. It will turn black after it matures. So in many places it's called black date. As for what his dried fruit tastes like, first of all, it must taste like a persimmon. Secondly, it tastes a bit like pastry. It feels like a mooncake with jujube paste filling. As for why we don't just say, it looks like a jujube,
Let's put it this way.
camphor would looks like mammillary bulbs. But he certainly doesn't look like Jackie Chan. If it is in the south, the Wanderer is also a good option for grafting onto the true tomb. The ancients once used wandering scholars as monuments. Its name elements are in. Indeed, it's the most solo monument among non-Chinese product manufacturers. This shows that they know what they're doing. The steel is not a product of the Central Plains. On the contrary, the south is its important production area. The famous scholar of death during the Three Kingdoms period disguised himself as the governor of Yunyang Prefecture. There's a sugarcane cup inside. It's really a papaya. Yunong is located in what is now northeastern Chongqing. The Seven Hands of Suzhai, the celery district of Daqing, recorded in the cone. There are many citrus trees and temples on the opposite bank of the river in Wuchang. Visible steel. It is a type of fruit tree cultivated on a very large scale. The oil market, although edible. However, the taste is slightly inferior to that of the four-character brand. People have discovered another use for it, like persimmons. The unripe fruit of the persimmon is also very astringent. The astringency comes from the presence of 43 nenes. And seasoning has a unique feature. It turns brown after oxidation. So, another use for persimmons. It is to test it. We selected the immature, unripe second sun. After squeezing out the persimmon seeds, filter them. It needs to be fermented in a sealed environment for more than 6 months. Only then can it be eaten. During this period, it is also necessary to stir in stages. Prevent sedimentation. Unlike other dyes, usually, the dye will gradually fade after oxidation, just like the salted purple sweet potato we talked about last time. But the color of the date will become more pronounced the more it's exposed to sunlight. The longer it oxidizes, the darker the color becomes. This natural color change process can last for 2 years. The process of dyeing fabric with test paint, it is called dye release, although the color lasts longer. However, phase 4 also has a drawback. That's because of these large amounts of tannins. It can generate large protein molecules that are insoluble in water, make clothes stiff and brittle. It's not very comfortable to eat or wear. But what about these large proteins? It can also form a thin film on the surface of an object, often used to line furniture fishing nets. After applying it, it can be both waterproof and corrosion resistant. It can also help prevent insect damage to wooden furniture. That's why the city center is called Qixi, instead of calling it a dye. During the Sui and Tang dynasties, the fourth phase of technology was disseminated to Japan and the Korean peninsula. The inhabitants of the Korean peninsula enjoy fishing. Therefore, we used fourth phase fabric to process the work clothes. In Japanese city centers, it's called Yatsuhiro High Four Colors Day. This also led to a method of painting the city onto paper, the technique of making handicrafts from printed paper. Inexplicably, a test shot of deodorant also appeared. Testing soap, it's like giving away everything.
Besides,
Pig Demon and Japan also have a technology. It involves reacting salt-containing iron particles with lacquer. The driver was dressed in black to produce black fuel, and iron gall ink together from public temples. There are many other species that can also be used in the secular world. For example, the hairy Mao family and the American clan of North America. You could say they're the North American version of persimmons. It's both cold-resistant and edible, but a bit small. The fruit is only 26 centimeters long. In North America, it's definitely a popular species. Search directly in English. On the contrary, there are more materials from the American temple and the black meat temple in Mexico. Its skin is green. The flesh is yellow when unripe. After I ripened it artificially, it turned black. It has a lot of dietary fiber. It doesn't have as much moisture as a persimmon. It feels slightly better than sweet potatoes. It has a persimmon smell, but not much. It looks a bit like a mango, especially near the skin. It is said that the black hand stone hung on the tree for several months. It will become very sweet. But mine doesn't taste sweet at all. What happens after eating? On the contrary, it gives people a warmer feeling. More than 700 secular species. Besides being edible, their wood is also very high-quality timber. We often hear about rare woods. For example, small-leaf sandalwood, seaweed, rosewood, and these are all beans hill plants. There's also a new type of wood called ebony. Of course not. In the black wasteland of East Africa, they also have rhododendron plants. True ebony is primarily made from common plants. For example, ebony fish from India and Sri Lanka, 7mu of Africa in West Africa, jadeite from Queensland, Australia, etc. Why is ebony so precious? Firstly, because of its weight. In people's minds, ebony is often perceived as jet black, gleaming eyes. It can even sink in water. The reason is, the black parts also contain a lot of resin. Under an electron microscope, we can even see, even the gaps in the cell walls were filled, just like steel bars covered by concrete. Not only made him stronger, even after drying, it is also heavier than other types of wood.
Black.
It comes from resins containing a large amount of tannins, just like a chicken. What about the color of these resins? It will deepen with oxidation. After years of oxidation, it will become dark and moisturized.
Here,
you might think about the knowledge about them. That concludes my presentation. But actually, I haven't even talked about the most crucial part yet. That's the reason for black color. Black heart. Decomposed from the light-colored parts of the exterior. Very clear. No obvious transition area. Indoors and the age, thickness, and annual rings of trees. They have no relation whatsoever. Please take a look at the following pictures. Although they are all however, these black parts grow. Large phase shaping. Some turned completely black. Some are not black at all. Even between different individuals of the same variety, there are also significant differences. Why is that? Botanists speculate. The formation of 5 acres of black timber. It may not be manufactured. Instead, it is a passive defensive measure. During the growth process of ebony, occasionally, fungi can invade the inside of the tree trunk. In order to resist these invaders, they will secrete a large amount of resin. Self-defense. Based on the location of fungal invasion, the black parts of ebony will also vary. Some are completely concentrated in the center. Some will be scattered around, forming a black texture layer. In addition to internal intrusion, when subjected to external injury, it can also cause to secrete plastic. Therefore, on the baru of we can see obvious traces of plastic stretching. From this point of view, the color further enhanced the persimmon's flavor. However, as of 2023, global persimmon production is only 507 million tons, less than 1/116th of apples. From this point of view, lust has harmed the persimmons again. In many people's impression, persimmons are just cheap fruits. I went to the nearby supermarket. Durian and mangosteen are available even in the dead of winter. But all I could find were dried persimmons. It's not easy to find fresh persimmons. China accounts for 80% of the world's persimmon production. Domestic supply still exceeds demand. Many people have no idea. Persimmons can be eaten even if they are hard. Moreover, varieties with good shelf life. Hope for the ever-changing fruit, the persimmon. Able to continuously innovate. One day, it can return to the public eye. Don't just pick the soft persimmons to eat.